So we've had a breach of this low here, so that definitely changes the count. Now I would like to look at it in two ways. First of all, in terms of wave 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 here to come and 5 to come into play here for this. So that would leave me with this is an A wave, a B wave and a C wave here, and the reason for doing that is because of stocks. Now when I look at Apple here, which has been one of my primary bullish counts here, we've been looking at it in terms of wave 1 here with an ABC pattern coming into play here. So to me this is still intact here. We're just waiting for this to to finish off a little bit. We can have a closer look at that. So where are we on 5k? So we can go to 1k first. So we were looking for this yesterday to move down here as the A, the B and the C wave. It has moved a little bit sharply, so that is a little bit concerning. So I'll see how that plays out. But if I go to 100 ticks, I think, just to see how we've got this placed here at the moment. So we still need, I'm not sure if that's 1, 2, I'm not sure if that's quite finished yet, but we still need wave 4 and 5 to play out here for this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, maybe there's another little bounce to come in here. But let's, if I would turn bearish if this 5 waves down here was breached in that sense. So like tomorrow, if we had 5, let's just say, it might be a little bit difficult to count, but let's just say we come down here, right? We get a bit more of a bounce around the 150 is the normal sort of thing. If we get a move up at this point, then it's going to leave this low here exposed at that point. So at that point, that would be 5 waves here with a reasonable bounce, because if it bounced, it would be a wave 2 at that point, wouldn't it? So we could look at this here as a wave 1 and a wave 2. We would see as a wave 2, we would see some type of movement. I mean, normally it comes back up to the 50-60%, but when it's around a large number, it tends to not travel that far. But we would still see something between 51 and 52 at that point. But however, we would see that quite clearly at this point, and it would be exposing that low here, and that low there would be wave 1 at that point. So that's where we can look to short it with this as a retested resistance here. So we're not there yet with it. And also other stocks are like that as well. We've got Amazon here with an A wave, a B wave and a C wave here. We still need this to finish off in a certain way as well. So it's close, but once these lows, if these lows are exposed, then I will change at that point, And Tesla was another one as well, a bit larger picture here, where we have wave 1 here, the A wave, the B wave, 1, 2, and then we've been looking down. Yesterday we were in here, so we're looking for 1, 2, 3, 4, and we're looking for wave 5. So in this case, we've got, it's kind of still the same. We've got that wave, say 3 finishing off here. Then we'll have a wave 4, and then we'll have a wave 5 here. So really, in a nutshell, we've got a bounce and another low to go in place, and then after that I'm okay to turn bearish at that point, but that still needs another strategy at that point. So basically the takeaway is the bounce and then down again in markets, and we can look at most of the markets are like that. This is another one with Google here. So we've got 1, 2, 3, looking for wave 4, which is probably the short covering coming off these off this 5 wave move down here, and then down at that point. So it's only after this is breached here, this low as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that I would turn bearish in those stocks. So the stocks are still giving me that bullish pattern, even though, as I mentioned yesterday, it's going to be a little bit scary. But I need it to play out, that's the thing. And like I said, even it's pointless chasing it at this point, because we're coming into the end of structures here, and we would end up we want that low exposed. That's what we're looking for. So coming over here with the S&P, the NASDAQ hasn't taken out its low here, but the S&P has, so probably because of the banks, probably. But 1 and 2 and 3. So we want that bounce, and then we want the move down, and that will give us 5 waves here. Then we could look at it as an ABC. So we'll follow this in. We'll also have a look at the bearish picture as well, and how we can go about doing that. So that was on. This is just the daily chart here. So just on 20K to get a better picture of this here. So we can look at this here. We're looking for the bounce as a wave 4 in short covering, and wave 4 is always complicated, a lot of emotional things going on there, and then down into this space here. So down for the A, the B, and the C wave at that point there. So I'll just put this in. I mean, it looks like a bit of a long shot, I know that, and you can, you know, start throwing stuff at me again if you like, but I still need it to play out. And even as a short trade, I mean, you can short this wave 4 here, you know, the 39 here as a retested resistance with the classic trading levels pattern to the downside. That's, you know, what you could play. If that's 39 here, you're going to see something like this here. So wait for the first low below the level, then come up, and if it comes back above the level, then down again at that point, or you may get it nice and easy like this, but you still got the first low to work with and the second one. You can short it up here too, because there will be 5 waves here, so you can short it on the 38.2% retracement level or thereabouts, but we'll take a closer look at that. But this is what we really need to play out here, and wave 5 here will be roughly the same length as wave 1, so a nice wave 3 here. And we'll just continue to cruise in here just for a little while on this, so we've got a bit better situation. So let's just assume it may not be. There may be another little low on the in the Asian session for this. So I don't know if that's the low yet, but let's just assume that it is for a moment. Then we'd be looking for a 38.2%, but it may not get there. May not get that high up here. Do you know? So I'm thinking, I'll have a closer look in a moment, but there may be, you know, there may be another low here. So, but basically it does give us a bit of a ball point around the 39.40 to 39.50, but really anywhere from 39.30 and above to 45, I would say, somewhere in that there. And then we'd have this other move down. So this other move down here would bring us down closer towards the 38 in all of this. So yeah, but wherever that low is, I'm not sure. Just got to double check on that. We can just keep moving in here on the 5K here. That's not going to help us much either. But yeah, we should get a bounce. I think that this third wave here should come in. I can see that it's in the stocks there now, so it doesn't really matter. It'll be off the 39 here somewhere. It'll be something like this, you know, and then down at that point. And this here, this length here will be the same as this one. So you can short it up in this box here, because it's not going to finish in 3 waves, you know, now that it's taken out that low here. This trend line just comes from the top here to here and brought down to here, and it could become sort of useful, but it normally comes in at some of the sub levels, trading levels there. So yeah, and then if we just go to the 100 ticks, and once we've done this, we'll go and have a look at the bearish count here for this. Yeah, this wave 4's, I suppose it's big enough in a way. Hasn't really pulled back to where we wanted it to in this case. I thought I'd counted that out before. There's a couple of different ways of looking at it. As 1, 2, 3, and go to 4 here, but preferably go to here for 5, for 1 and 2 to here. It hasn't really retraced anywhere near where we need it to retrace to. It's really just on this one. So it's probably, yeah, it's probably another one to go down here and then coming back up. And it should be in the Asian session. It should be kind of you know, it should be obvious, you know, at some point. That's the thing. So unless it climbs up here, I can see that. I could see that, you know. I mean, I was just sort of thinking from here to here to here to here, and then down to here for that whole third wave here, you know, so it can be this wave 4, but I'm not quite sure yet. But let's go and have a look at the bearish counts. So just to recap this particular count here. So as a 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 here, and the reason I'm doing that for is because of some of the stocks, and I know that, as I mentioned yesterday, there's there's plenty of stocks that are weak, especially the finance sector, and we're actually short on banks, on the BAC at least anyway. So let's just imagine for a moment that we get these 5 waves down here, right? So we're going to have some sort of rally after that point, after these 5 waves here, right? So that means that anything under this here, then we've got something else going on at that point, you know, because it would be breaching this here at that point if there was going to be another move down at this point. So then it kind of turns into a bigger bearish picture at that point. So at that point, we would need to look at the bearish count, which we keep on the 50K here. I haven't tidied this up from last time we yacked here, so we'll just do that. I don't think it's possible that it's that degree of structure. Let me think about that for a moment. It's possible, but I don't think it will be. I think we'll need to just bring this out of the way a little bit. Bring that out of the way. Bring these out here. It'll be probably this situation here. So it does bring in quite a bearish count at this point. So in this case, we would be looking for 1 and 2. I'll give this some more thought from 3rd, 4th, and 5th here. So we'll probably come down somewhere into this area here. So if you're going to be short, you could say that this is where you're going to get your bounce from here, right? Anywhere up just above the 3,800, that's where the support is. And it'll start coming in at this price point here, 388 here. But what I wanted to say is that if we get that 5 waves down here, then we'll look at this as 1 and 2 here at that point. And then we would be looking for a 3rd wave down at this point. I'll get this, I'll look at the banks and some other things and get the right perspective here to see if it is actually this wave 1 or that wave 1 or even this one. I mean, basically, if with all of this going on, this would be the target area. First of all, if this is corrective, if this B wave gets breached, then it makes it corrective at that point. And then it's at that point, then the probability of taking this out is on the cards. And if that's taken out, then this number here becomes a high probability, the 3,000 in that case. There probably is one more count that could play out, taking this low out here as a larger A, B, and C wave down here as well. But it shouldn't affect taking this low out. Looking at these 5 waves here, so it would still be pretty safe at that point, because we could have this as an A and a B and a C, right? And then move up here. So an A wave, a B wave, and a C wave up here. And yeah, so that would be a possibility as well. I don't think we can look at it. I'll give it some thought. Some folks did send some counts through, so I'll look at those as well and appreciate those. But yeah, so this is where we're at the moment with this situation. Let's just go into the 1K tick chart. So let me just get some more data in here for this. This is a slightly different count. Let me just get some more in. I mean, it's the same count, but it's just a different labeling, because I've got this as wave 1 here, on the other one, and I might need to do that here. So I'll put wave 2 here. So I might need to lift it up a degree of structure. So this is one way of looking at it, counting it down here. The other way is putting wave 1 over here. I'd have to get my sort of noggin around this and go back and check what I've done here before with that. But all of this is wave 1 here, and then 2 here, and I've got it in blue here. So if it's in blue there, then we need to look at what we were looking at yesterday as an A wave here. We need to look at that as wave 1 and 2 here. And this move down through here, we were looking at it in the other side, in the other market as wave 3, and it's nice and strong and long as wave 3, so that's all quite good. So we could do that. But we could also look at it as wave 1 coming down here and wave 2 here. Now this obviously would bring in a, so this would bring in a bit of a stronger bounce off the 39 here, because it's meant to come back up to the 61.8% or 50%, but really, you know, 40, 50, 60% is fine. I mean, this wave 2 here, for example, if that's a wave 2, that didn't pull back up very high at all, did it? You know, I mean, so that's, in a nutshell, that's its fingerprint there. So it pulled back up just 40%, roughly speaking. So, whoops, daisy. So that means that this one here, wherever it is, wherever it lands, and you know, you'll see it when it does. So if I put it on the 39 here, you can make adjustments for that. So that little consolidation in there is likely to be the retracement level for a wave 2, or in the other pattern that we're looking at, a wave 4 at that point. So that 39, as I mentioned before, 39.40, 39.50 is probably stretching it. Anywhere above 49.30 and you've got yourself a correction at that point, and you'll need to start looking for short trade setups at that point. But this is where it could turn nasty here, in terms of like coming down quite strong at this point. So definitely want to be short here, and you can be short here. We can just turn that box green there, because in both counts in this case, we would be, and I'll just drag that down a little bit here, because you can just get a smaller amount in that box. You know, anything above 39.30, you can look to move into that a bit, because in all markets we'll be looking at this coming, you know, one more, because as I mentioned with the stocks, we're just looking for, in the stocks we're looking for the low to come in, a bounce, and then another move down at that point. So this would be the other move down. So this will take you down into the supply level at 38. So anywhere from 38.30 to 3800 would be a place for short-term traders to move out of the market at that point. Other longer-term traders could take you know, 60, 70, 80% off, and then look for a rally and do your, you know, do your magic at that point. So that's the S&P at this point. That's the bullish and the bearish case for that. And it is interesting, this coming down here. We didn't see the US dollar push up. The US dollar is also pulling back as well, pulling down. It doesn't mean that it's in a bearish mode yet. We don't have 5 waves down. It's probably just corrective at this point. But it was interesting that they didn't, you know, do the mirror opposite at that point. Okay, so for the NASDAQ here, we can do the same thing again as well with this. We've got the bullish picture is wave 1 and 2 here, and then 1 and 2 to here. Now, in this case, the 50-60% is lower at this point, so we haven't got there. So we've also got space to put wave 2 over here if this low here is breached. Now, it will probably be breached because of where the S&P needs to move down to 3,800 at that point. So on the bearish side with this, we can look at it as the A wave, the B wave, and the C wave up here. And in that case, we would look at this as wave 1 here and wave 2 in on the bearish side of things. So we can do exactly the same with this on the bearish side, and let's just go into the bearish side first this time. So this would be the bearish side here, with looking at wave 1 here and then 2 here, and we're looking down for an ABC pattern here, but we know that we'll probably come down further, so we'll probably take this out. But even so, in the bigger bearish picture, let's just imagine for a moment there is this humongous bear market sort of unfolding at this particular point in time, then we would also here want to see, realistically, we'd want to see 1 and 2 here, this 1 and 2. And if we looked at this as a third wave here, third waves normally come to the bottom of the previous trend here, but if it's a wave 1, we can also tie it into that low there. So I'll just do it here, sort of roughly here. So if we do get 5 waves down here, we can put that here, and we can put wave 2 over here. Now in the bullish market, we would be also looking at this being an A wave, a B wave, and a C wave here, and then pushing off from this point, because that's what Apple and so on can still do at that point, you know. Mind you, we are seeing, you know, weak markets like the banks that can take it slower, and this is kind of looking a bit like the finance sector. But even so, what I do want to point out is that if we get 1 and 2 here, and 3, 4, 5 down here, this here, off the 11.5 here, then we're going to get some sort of ABC pattern here, and then we'll go down again at that point. So it's really at these points that would confirm that we're in a bigger picture rather than going up from that point. This wave 2 here, this pullback 50-60% here on the NASDAQ, and these were quite high too, these ones, if we look at those in that regard. So that means that this wave 2 over here has got a possibility, because of previous nature of the beast, it could pull back up quite strong here. So if you were shorting it here, then obviously there's going to be supply at these lows, and there's going to be support at the 11,500 as well. So in here, just to bring things into perspective, that 800 is going to be important, and we've got group 2 here, which will be the 650 and the 722 here. So all of that will be supportive, will play a supportive role at that point. We can go to the 1000 ticks and check out the count here as well. I'll just get in some more data. So in this space here, we're counting down as wave 1 and 2, and then 1 and 2 here, and then in this instance here, rather than looking at it as a wave 3, because in a way, if I look at it as a wave 3 here, it's nice and sharp for a wave 3 and powerful and all the rest of it, but it's not really giving me the length, because I know that the structure here is just about completed, and it's a little bit small compared to wave 1. It's okay as a wave 3, it's longer than wave 1, that's not the issue at this point, but it's probably just a wave 1 at this point and a wave 2 here. So that's why I say that if this is 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 here, then this will also be a good place to view 1 and 2 as well, and open up the short trade at that point. So all we need to do now is we ask ourselves, is this likely to be a wave 2 at that point? I don't think so. I think it's more, you know, part of well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 as 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, all part of something a little bit larger, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is probably wave 1 and 2 here, and it really stretches out at that point. So I will just label this here as 1 and 2 here, just to get you started. And this will be or do I need to do that? Can I go 1 and 2, 1 and 2, 1 and 2, 1 and 2? I don't know if that's the right way to go, an A and a B and a C. I'm not really sure about that little bit there. That's 5 waves, that's 5 waves, that's 5 waves. Just a little bit unsure about that. We can look at this as 1 and 2. All of that's 5 waves, not quite 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to here, 3, 4, 5. So I could put wave 3 in here somewhere. I need to spend a little bit more time on that. I'm thinking something like this, So we should get, technically, if as a wave 2, we should get from this top to in here, we should be in here somewhere, some sort of rally in that space, which to me will give us the opportunity to short at that point. So I'm thinking that we'll see something here, then something here, here, and then probably one more retest. Maybe it'll push up in here. I don't know how far it'll push up, and then down at that point. We'll have a look at the Russell as well. So it'll be the same for the Russell, but in this case we can look at 3, 4, and 5 to come down here, probably below into group 2 here onto this trend line here for a wave 2, but we can also look at this as a bearish picture. But the thing here is that if you're going to short, then it will be this box coming back into this space here. So just look for an ABC pattern at that point. And the Dow Jones has been one of the weakest. So yesterday we were looking at this saying that we're going to get some rally and then a move down. So all of this is an impulse wave. So we'll need to look at it like that. So don't particularly want to, I suppose we'll do it this way. And we'll look at this as a third wave into 32 here. So that's going to drift down. And then we're going to see the wave 4 at that point, and a wave 5 to come down here further. So pretty much just check on the length of when this wave 3 comes in, because the length of this is the length of wave 1 here. This is the length of wave. So it'll probably end up coming a bit deeper in here because it'll need to be a bit longer, and this can come down into this space here for this. So at minimum, we'll get, there'll be a bounce at that 32, so be ready for that, and wave 4 and wave 5 just giving them, looks like wave 3. I don't think wave 3 is going to show us like a really big extension, and unless on a more bearish note that this move here is just wave 1 here and wave 2 here, as I mentioned in the other markets. So then looking for that short trade on any bounce in here is really what you'd be looking for at that point. And even though I've made it quite wide here, it doesn't I think all we need to really do here is get that, refine that a little bit more. So if we take the top here, bring it down to 880 here, then that will bring that down into, I don't think it's going to be much more than that, 32.40. I'll bring it down a little bit further. I want to capture that little high there. I'll just move that out of the way a little bit. So in around that price, that's 32.95. So that's group 1 of that. So I'll just remove that. So 32 here, we can look for the smaller levels, which will be 1, 2, and 3. I think it might pop its head up over 3, but I don't think it's not going to find support there to go much higher. So really sort of anywhere in that, I'm bringing it down a little bit lower here. It has, the takeaway here is that, like, if you think that you've got it around this area here and you put a position in here, then, and it goes up further, don't get out, make the first position a bit smaller, and then add again at this one, because we're not going to finish on just 3 waves to the downside. Do you know what I mean? So we'll need to have 5 waves down, so we will be down here further. And the second thing is that this could be a wave 2 or it could be a wave 4. If it's a wave 2, that's going to pay out a lot more. If it's going to be a wave 4, then this wave 5 here will be somewhere between the length of wave 1. So I'll just shorten that a little bit. So that will be in there. We'll want wave 3 to be longer than that. We'll put that there. So probably anywhere from 31 to 31,500 into that space here, which is also the 61.8% at this point. So this is where the bullish count would play out at this point. But that's where we are at the moment with this, and so there is a short trade to be had on the next bounce, and that would be a very safe short trade at that point. So at least that's something at this point. Alrighty, I'll leave it all at that. Thanks for tuning in. Cheers.